All right. Hello, everybody. This is Imran, and today we are going to talk about something that is really important. As far as the format of the show is concerned, we talked about it in the pilot episode as well. This is a show where I'll be talking with my friend here, which you can consider my alter ego or the sound or the voice in my head that wants to argue against a particular idea that I might be in favor of. And to bring it like this in front of you all, that was the whole idea of this show, in order to present the viewers with the dichotomy or the intricacies, the nuances of the dialogue a common person might have with himself regarding any topic that people might consider of vitality, of importance in our society, may it be political or non-political or anything. This show is about, presenting the ideas and then presenting the counterpoints that come from my friend here. Ron, would you like to tell us something more about the show before we start with the actual proceedings of the show?
Yes, absolutely, Imran. As we talked about it in the pilot episode as well, but it is something that we feel there is a need to talk about it. Every time we start the show, the concept of the show is something like where we discuss things, ideas, topics, especially the really contested ones, the polarizing ones, in which we don't have, in which we are divided in our opinions. Something like that. You speak in favor of something, I speak against something, and that's the concept of the show. That's how we have planned it to be, and that's something that we thought would be really informative for our listeners as well, I think.
All right. Yeah, I get your point. I understand the intricacies and the small details and the sensitivity of the whole thing, the show. As you rightly said, that these are the things that make us, think about stuff that we might generally take for granted. Why is anybody a right winger or a left winger, conservative or a liberal? Why are our opinions divided or polarized? Why do we stick to something that we feel is deeply valuable to us, and why do we sometimes feel that going against it is going against our own principles, one might say. It is really, really beautiful, and that is why we thought of this show, and that is why we are conducting this thought experiment, sort of, which is not really a thought experiment, because we are talking in and we are actually, listening to each other and talking things out quite literally.
Yeah.
And trying to get things together, trying to understand things, trying to understand the nuances of the argument, trying to understand the issue in its entirety.
Yes.
Looking at all the aspects. Some aspects will be brought in by me, some by you.
Yes.
And we will try to listen to each other to the best of our ability with an open mind, and try to come up with a solution, one might say. It's not necessarily that a solution is needed. We don't need a solution. It is just that understanding that is important. Do we at least understand the other person's point of view? So, interestingly, we thought of starting off this journey with a really basic, or we can say it is basic, but it is really, really important issue or topic that we have chosen for our today's discussion.
True.
My friend here will tell you more about it. Over to you, Ron.
Thank you, Imran. And the topic that we have chosen for ourselves today is actually, as you said, Imran, it's really interesting and something huge, something basic, but something huge. It is what we call as the Democrats versus the Republicans, the right versus the left, the Whigs versus the Tories, the red versus the blue, and that sort of stuff. It's a really basic dividing force in our lives, in wherever we are living in the world, in whichever country we are living. So this is the topic that we thought of starting our conversation with, our discussion with. You will be arguing for the liberals, the progressives, the Democrats, the Whigs, and I'll try to hold my ground with the conservatives, with the Tories, so to say.
Thank you, Ron, for that, for making our viewers understand how we are going to go with it, and how we are going to proceed. And yes, this is going to be my opening. I will be speaking in favor of liberalism and against conservatism.
Right.
So let me start off with something that is really core to the issue that we are currently trying to grapple around, and that is, what is liberalism, or how is it different from conservatism? Liberalism in its essence is all about finding a solution to the problem. Liberalism, please don't laugh. Come on, man. Okay, so please at least give me the honor that I deserve to,
I'm sorry.
put my whatever I have to say in this regard
I'm sorry. Yeah.
in front of our audience and let the audience,
True.
decide.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I apologize for this. It was uncontrollable, but I apologize for it.
Okay. So apology accepted.
Thanks.
So as I was saying, it's all about finding solutions to the problems, and it's only the creative people or the creativity that is inside of all of us that comes up with solutions to the problems. It is never the dogma. It is never, following the norm that comes up with any solutions when we are stuck anywhere. And we are always stuck. We can never reach perfection. And liberalism is the name of the road, the path that is always in pursuit of perfection. Whenever something goes wrong, or whenever we think that our society needs to change the course, because the course that we are on already is apparently failing, and we know it is failing, so there needs to be a change of course. That change of course can be brought in only by a liberal, a progressive, and not by a conservative. That is my argument. And before I leave you with that for the rebuttal, I would like to add here that creativity is something, as I said, creativity is that particular thing that comes up with solutions to the problems that we have. Without creativity, there cannot be any solutions. There will always be problems, but there won't be any solutions, So what's important is for us to have that freedom in our society, and that's where liberalism comes in. A liberal society, or a society that is more left-leaning or more liberal, has the flexibility, has the the potential to bring in changes that are required, that are necessary for the society to change course in the right direction. When we give that freedom to our people, when we give that freedom to our society to judge for themselves and choose for themselves what is the right path for them, when we go for experimentation, when we have that liberty, as I said, that freedom, as I said, at our disposal, then only we can come up with new solutions to the already old problems, because the problems wouldn't be there if we had come up with any solutions. If the solutions were already there, we wouldn't have those problems to begin with, isn't it? So yeah, I leave you with that thought. Let's see how you come, how you will try to defend that. I think it's really difficult.
No, I think you're completely wrong there. It's not really difficult to refute that. It's really simple, I would say. Because as you talked about changing the society or having the freedom to change stuff in our society, giving liberty or freedom to people to choose or change course, change direction for our society, to change, to take such big decisions in our society, it requires a sense of responsibility. And that's where the conservative argument comes in. You cannot have a very flimsy base or foundation for your society. Values such as religion, such as our culture, such as whatever we have done in our past. It's like trial and error method, which has been already done in the past. What you are arguing for is going for that trial and error method again and again, and not learning anything from our past, or not sticking to the principles that have been laid by our ancestors, the people who have come before us. They probably might have gone through these problems already. Why are we trying to reinvent the wheel, so to say? The problem here is, if we are giving this liberty in our society to people to change the course of action, as you used the phrase, the problem with that attitude or with that approach is that there is nothing to stick on to. There will be only chaos and no order. Order is necessary for any society. Yes, we will encounter problems, but who is to say that those problems have not been encountered by our predecessors already? And the solutions that they have come up with are the best solutions to the problem. Maybe it does not look like a solution to a liberal, to a progressive, and he is trying to, or she is trying to make things better in a genuine attempt to make things better. I'm not questioning the intention of this progressive liberal person, but what if the already present solution is the best one, because they have already tried all other solutions, and the one which is with us is the best one. I think this is something that you need to think about. What do you, how do you take that? If
All right. So, yeah, I get what you're saying, but my job here is to present whatever I can think of to counter whatever you just said. And in my defense of liberalism, I would say that it's all about risk taking. Whenever one takes a risk, there are both chances, there are both, the result can be either a good result or a bad result. It can be in our favor or not in our favor. So, but as long as we don't take risks, we already have lost everything, because as I said earlier, if a problem persists in our society, steps need to be taken to eradicate that. And liberalism is the only way to do that. I know I'm being a little arrogant here when I say that it is the only way to do that, and I probably can think of the argument that you can come up against it. But I would still say that without liberalism, without having a progressive mindset, you will not be able to, defend. You will not be able to come up with ways, new, creative, novel ideas or ways to get out of the problems that we have. The solutions are only going to come when we have the daring, when we have the risk-taking ability, when we have the freedom, the liberty to take risks and experiment with the situation. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but there's a problem with that thinking. If the liberty is given to the people, the populace, we will ultimately land ourselves into another problem. And that problem is that, things are going to get too flimsy. There's no foundation. There are no values. There is nothing to stand on. And if things keep on changing again and again, we are not left with order. We are only left with chaos. That's how I would like to, refute this point that you came up with, to give liberty to the people. I hope I'm making sense there. We cannot give unlimited liberty. Yeah, I get that. I already said that. I know. I thought of it already while I was speaking. I could understand, or I knew it already, what the counter to this point was going to be, and I understand that. I concede that I understand that. But what should I say? What more can I say about that? I will just repeat it again. It's all about risk-taking. It's all about coming up with new ideas and not sticking to the old ones, and having the daring to do it, not sticking with the dogmas that we have, because it can sometimes also be dangerous. Let me bring another argument to this story. If we are sticking to something that is dangerous, and we know it is dangerous, but just because of the dogma we are not able to overcome it. Say, for example, we run an experiment, and we come up with a situation in our society where we feel like something is bad for our society. Okay. Please try to understand this point. It's really crucial. Sure. I beg for your attention. Sure, you have it. If we find something in our society that we feel is harmful for us in the long run, but we are still not able to give it up or change it in our society, we are sticking to our conservatism. We are sticking to conserving the values, whatever they are. We are sticking to, the old ways of life and not experimenting with something that could make our situation better. What do you think is going to happen, man? What is the way out of that? I ask that question to you. Without liberalism, without progressive thought, we will not be able to overcome that, isn't it? Why not? Conservatism is not about sticking blindly and never changing. The very important difference, or the illusion that people have in their mind about conservatism, is that it's about never changing at all. But no, change is something that is inevitable. Conservatism is about sticking to what you have for as long as it is possible. That is the big difference. It's not about never changing. It's about sticking to the already tried and tested ways for as long as possible, for as long as we can. All right. So I think we should just leave it there. And instead of using the old cliche, let's agree to disagree, I would never use that, because I am not a huge proponent or supporter of this idea of let's agree to disagree, because everything cannot be ended, every discussion or every debate or every conversation cannot be just ended with this cliched phrase. But what I will say is that I understand what you said. I understand where this discussion, where we started and where this went. There were a lot of good things that you talked about, and I'll try to reconcile those ideas with mine and try to think about it in a deeper way, and hopefully come up with a better understanding. That's the end goal of our conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, right, exactly. That's what this show is about. It's about thinking in different ways, in the opposite directions, going 180 degrees in our thought process. Whatever we are discussing, whatever the topics we choose for our programs in the future, it's about, thinking in different directions and understanding, trying to understand each other's views.
Okay, so I think that is something that we can leave this conversation with. This was the second
Sure.
episode of the Imron show, and I hope this was fruitful for our listeners, and
Hopefully.
we'll try to make it better. We're
Yeah.
still learning.
Yeah.
So hope to see you soon. Take care. Goodbye.